On the day of the wedding, clad in my wedding gown, I was unceremoniously ejected from the bridal car by my groom and abandoned on the highway, solely because his ex-wife, 3 months pregnant, had lost her way at the airport. He declared, "She is my responsibility, you are my true love," before departing swiftly with the entire convoy to attend to his obligation, leaving me as the subject of utmost ridicule. Observing the number on my phone that once promised to disrupt the wedding, I dried my tears, answered with a frigid tone, "No need to interfere, Dominic, if you dare to wed me now, I dare to accept. He rejects me, and I shall marry a man beyond his reach." A chill wind infiltrated the vehicle, immediately permeating my custom wedding dress, valued in the 6 figures, with silk and lace adhering coldly to my skin. My name is Sienna, and today was intended to be my wedding day with Gabriel. At least, it was until mere minutes ago. The wedding procession halted on the emergency lane of the Shanghai Ring Expressway, led by an elongated Rolls-Royce, from which Gabriel had just alighted, efficiently nay, brusquely thrusting me out. To clarify, it was not a push. He unfastened his seatbelt, circumvented the vehicle, opened my door, seized my arm, and compelled me to stand outside with a firm yet measured force, brooking no negotiation. "Sienna, take a taxi to the wedding venue on your own, be obedient," Gabriel instructed, standing by the door with a pristine bow tie and meticulously styled hair, his eyes averted from mine, fixed instead on the ramp toward Pudong Airport. His phone remained illuminated, displaying Lillian's name. Lillian, his former girlfriend, or rather, ex-wife, with whom he had legally married but parted before a ceremony. Rumor had it she had emigrated and vanished for 2 years, only to return now. Gabriel's voice was steady, as if discussing the weather. "Lillian is lost at the airport, she's emotionally distraught and crying over the phone, I must retrieve her." My mind reeled with a resounding buzz, as though struck by a heavy mallet, as I gazed upon him, this man who, mere minutes hence, should have awaited me in the wedding hall. "Gabriel, what are you saying? Today is our wedding day, hundreds of guests await at the hotel, and now you intend to go to the airport to fetch your ex-wife?" Each word was forced through clenched teeth, my disbelief palpable. On the highway, traffic roared past with deafening wind, yet his every syllable struck my ears with unmistakable clarity. Absurd, utterly absurd. At last, he lowered his gaze to me, his eyes devoid of remorse, exuding instead a sanctimonious sense of duty. "Sienna, do not be petulant. Lillian is 3 months pregnant with my child, alone in this country, friendless, and lost. I cannot abandon her." Pregnant. 3 months. The child is his. I felt a surge of blood to my head, followed by an instantaneous chill, rendering my limbs numb. She departed for 2 years, yet is 3 months pregnant with his child? This logic, this timeline. Could Gabriel be so foolish? No, he merely yearns excessively to embody the archetype of a responsible man. Perhaps, in his heart, that space was never truly vacant. "She and the child are my lifelong responsibility," Gabriel intoned with gravity, as if swearing an oath. "I will care for her until she finds another haven. Sienna, you must comprehend." Comprehend? What am I to comprehend? That my groom, on our wedding day, discarded his bride on the highway to retrieve his pregnant ex-wife? My entire body trembled, uncertain whether from cold, rage, or fear. I clutched his sleeve, the hem of my wedding dress flailing wildly in the wind like an uncontrolled white specter. With a hoarse voice, I uttered the most abject yet ludicrous question: "What of me? Our wedding? Our future? What am I, Sienna, to you, Gabriel?" He regarded me with unwavering resolve, his gaze almost conveying a delusion of tender affection, stating, "You are my lifelong true love and future." How melodious those words! Responsibility assigned to her, true love and future to me. He delineated duty and affection with stark clarity, a clarity bordering on cruelty. In the next instant, he brushed my hand aside and shut the door decisively. A muted thud shattered all my illusions, the window severing us as I observed him return to the driver's seat, his profile stern. The lead car ignited its engine, trailed by dozens of luxury vehicles forming a serpentine convoy, following him unhesitatingly toward the airport with haste. Not a single vehicle paused, not one person inquired after me. They were all Gabriel's friends and kin, heeding only his command. I, Sienna, adorned in an ornate and splendid wedding gown, my bouquet lost to oblivion, my veil ensnared by the wind on the roadside barrier like a flag of capitulation, stood there, an utter fool. Passing vehicles decelerated, their windows revealing faces of curiosity, derision, and pity. A bride in her gown, forsaken on the highway, surely, this was the paramount jest of the year in Shanghai. Tears flowed uncontrollably, striking the costly fabric and diffusing instantly. I wept, laughing through my sobs, the amalgamation of tears and laughter dissonant even to my own ears, my chest hollowed, the wind piercing through with an empty, aching pain. True love? Future? Mere nonsense. In his heart, I perpetually trailed his duty. No, I was less than that, merely a dispensable, compliant, decorous ornament. My phone vibrated incessantly within my purse. With trembling hands, I retrieved it, the screen flashing the name Dominic. That name pricked me like a thorn. Notorious throughout Shanghai for his recalcitrance and irreverence, he was a mutual acquaintance of Gabriel and me, having once jested at a gathering, "Sienna, on your wedding day, if I, the young master, am not yet sated with play, I might truly disrupt it." At the time, I dismissed it as humor. Gabriel had even chuckled, "Dare to come, and I'll break your legs." Yet now Gabriel had fled, and I wiped my tears, my cold fingertips sliding over the answer key. From the other end, amidst a cacophony suggestive of a party, a man's voice emerged with its habitual nonchalance, tinged with a petulant grievance. "Sienna. What do you mean? I merely quipped about crashing the wedding, and you were so frightened you truly didn't attend? I've lingered at the hotel entrance for ages, the flower children are nearly asleep. Where are the bride and groom?" Vanished? Evidently unaware of the events, he assumed I had absconded from the wedding. Tears welled anew, yet my voice remained eerily calm, like stagnant water devoid of ripples, as the sounds of wind, traffic, and his voice grew distant. Gazing toward the direction where Gabriel's convoy had vanished, I articulated deliberately into the phone, "No need to intervene," prompting a stunned "huh?" from Dominic. I inhaled deeply, the frigid air stinging my lungs yet sharpening my clarity. "Dominic, let us marry." An immediate silence ensued on the other end, all background clamor ceased, leading me to surmise he had retreated to a quiet locale or silenced the world around him. I discerned his breathing intensify. After a full 10 seconds, he spoke, stripped of levity and jest, leaving only incredulity and an indescribable solemnity. "Sienna, repeat that. Where are you?" "Shanghai Ring Expressway, en route to Pudong Airport, approximately 3 kilometers past the Huaxia elevated road exit," I reported, my voice so steady it alarmed me. When the heart perishes, tranquility ensues. "In a wedding dress? Alone?" Dominic's tone abruptly chilled, as if frozen. "Yes," I affirmed. "And that wretch Gabriel?" he growled through gritted teeth. "He's gone to the airport to fetch his pregnant ex-wife, claiming it's his responsibility," I recounted, as if narrating another's tale, numb yet lucid, each word a blade recarving my already lifeless heart. A sound of shattering objects crackled through the phone, followed by Dominic's voice, restrained yet seething. "Sienna, remain where you are, send me your location 5 minutes, no, 3, and I'll be there." He terminated the call. I complied by sending my coordinates, standing roadside like a statue, and within 3 minutes, Dominic fulfilled his promise. A black Bugatti, akin to a silent beast, cleaved through the highway traffic, halting abruptly with precision before me, its tires screeching against the pavement. The door swung open, and Dominic leapt out, unusually formal in a bespoke black suit sans tie, 2 shirt buttons undone, evidencing haste yet retaining an aura of aristocratic poise. He beheld me disheveled in my wedding attire by the roadside, my veil ensnared on the guardrail, my face marred by tears, his expression transitioning from shock to fury, settling into profound, deep compassion. He posed no questions, striding swiftly to me, removing his suit jacket imbued with his warmth, draping it snugly over me to shield the frigid lace. His actions were gentle and tender, forming a piercing contrast to Gabriel's resolute expulsion of me from the car. "Are you cold?" he inquired in a low voice. I shook my head, yet tears fell anew, not for Gabriel, but for this moment, the warmth of his coat. Dominic extended a hand, his calloused fingertips gently wiping my tears. "Do not weep, such refuse is unworthy." He opened the passenger door. "Enter, I'll take you away," and I complied. He circled to the driver's seat, closed the door, barring external prying eyes, and the car started, merging smoothly into traffic. "Where are we going?" I asked, my voice parched. Dominic gazed ahead, his profile rigid. "To the Civil Affairs Bureau. Today is an auspicious day for matrimony." I turned sharply to him. He was not jesting. "Dominic, what I said was merely in anger," I attempted to explain, unsure why I felt compelled to do so, for that moment's proposal of marriage stemmed from despair, vengeance, and reckless abandon. Yet he smiled, not his usual cavalier grin, but earnestly. "Sienna, I did not deem it mere anger. I jested about crashing the wedding, but my desire to wed you is genuine," leaving me dumbfounded. "Gabriel discards you, but I claim you. He is blind, I am not," Dominic stated lightly, each word weighty. "If you dare to marry, I dare to wed you. The gates of the Lee family stand ever open to you, and as for Gabriel's debts to you, I shall ensure he repays them tenfold, 100-fold." The car interior was silent. I regarded him, known to me for years as an immature, playful scion, yet now I perceived the sincerity in his eyes was authentic. Marry Dominic? Is not the paramount retribution against Gabriel to wed forth with a man vastly superior to him, to demonstrate that I, Sienna, am not indispensable to him, nor refuse he may casually discard, rendering his lifelong true love an utter farce? My heart bled, yet a peculiar thrill of vengeance surged within. "Very well, to the Civil Affairs Bureau," I heard myself assent. Dominic glanced at me, a gleam in his eyes. "Hold fast," as the Bugatti accelerated toward the city. Meanwhile, the wedding hotel had descended into pandemonium. Gabriel's parents, mine, and all our kin and friends could not reach us. Dominic placed a call, his tone icy, informing the Gu and families, "The wedding is cancelled. The bride, Sienna, is now with me. Any objections may be addressed to me, Dominic, directly," hanging up as if it were a trifling matter. I recognized the gravity of his words. In Shanghai, the Lee family was an entity the Gu family could only aspire to, his statement both proclamation and admonition. At the Civil Affairs Bureau, teeming with people due to the auspicious date, Dominic had evidently arranged a private channel. I in my wedding dress with his suit jacket, he in black. We stood together, a tableau both grotesque and harmonious, photographing, signing, and stamping, the staff observing us with complex gazes yet daring not to inquire. As those two red certificates were handed to us, a sense of unreality lingered. I, Sienna, forsaken by my groom on my wedding day, had then wed another man, a precipitate marriage. Dominic received the marriage certificate, placing it meticulously into his suit's inner pocket near his heart, grasping my hand large and warm. "Mrs. Lee, henceforth, none shall harm you." My phone buzzed frantically anew. It was Gabriel, likely having retrieved Lillian and received calls from the hotel, at last recollecting me. Dominic seized my phone, answered, and activated the speaker. Gabriel's voice, fraught with urgency and ire, erupted. "Sienna, have you lost your mind? You're with Dominic? Do you realize what day this is? You dared to flee the wedding. Where do I hide my shame? Where do both families hide theirs? Lillian nearly fainted from distress just now. I barely calmed her, and now you cause more trouble. Return to the hotel at once and account to me to everyone." He persisted in reproaching me, believing I was the instigator, the source of his disgrace, still invoking Lillian. I laughed in fury, my tears exhausted. Dominic sneered, addressing the phone deliberately. "Gabriel, heed this, Sienna did not flee the wedding, she merely exchanged grooms. We've just left the Civil Affairs Bureau with our certificate, she is now my lawful wife. As for your wedding, explain it to whomever you wish, or wed your responsibility. Henceforth, cease harassing my wife, or I cannot assure the Gu group will see tomorrow's dawn in Shanghai." A deathly silence prevailed on the other end. I could envision Gabriel's countenance: shock, astonishment, disbelief. "Dominic! You wretch! Sienna! Sienna, speak! You cannot treat me thus." Gabriel's voice turned frantic, laced with a trace of terror. Dominic terminated the call and powered off the phone. Tranquility ensued. "Let us go, wife, homeward," he said, gazing at me, the word home disorienting me. For hours ago, I believed my home was with Gabriel. Now, all had altered. This was not the wedding I envisioned, yet it might be the most severe rebuke I could deliver to Gabriel. You cast me aside like refuse, and I wed into an echelon you cannot aspire to. Gabriel, your true love and future reject you. Dominic escorted me to his penthouse apartment along the Huangpu River, boasting an exceptional view encompassing the Bun's nocturnal splendor, yet I lacked the inclination to admire it. He instructed the housekeeper to assist me in shedding the wedding dress, providing comfortable attire and dinner, conducting himself with gentlemanly decorum throughout, maintaining distance without the slightest overreach. Sienna, I understand your current turmoil. This marriage, to you, may merely be an act of impulse, of retribution, he remarked. Seated on the opposing sofa, Dominic poured me warm water. Rest assured, I shall not compel you to anything. Consider this a sanctuary. Should you resolve to depart, I will sign divorce papers at any time, yet as long as you remain my wife for a day, I will safeguard you, his perception astute. I accepted the cup, hand still trembling. Dominic, thank you, but I have no intention of divorcing. Prompting a raised eyebrow, Gabriel made me a jest. I shall not let him prosper. The status of Mrs. Lee suits me well. I sip the perfectly tempered water, though I inconvenience you. Dominic smiled. No inconvenience, it is my ardent wish, his eyes luminous like the starlight beyond the window. Unable to reach me, Gabriel began inundating Dominic's phone. Dominic tossed it onto the coffee table, letting it ring. Not answering? I queried. Let him fret. The more anxious he grows, the more it reveals his care. Did he not deem you a pawn to manipulate at will? Let him taste loss. Dominic's tone was calm, yet edged with ruthlessness. The Guandon families were in an uproar. My parents called, to whom I briefly explained Gabriel's renunciation and my marriage to Dominic. They were stunned and concerned, yet upon hearing of the Lee family, dared not protest, merely urging self-care, while Gabriel's parents were subdued by the Lee family's authority. The wedding devolved into a farce. Gabriel emerged as the groom who abandoned his bride, only to be publicly cuckolded in outsiders' eyes, a figure of ridicule. The following day, Gabriel located this place but was detained downstairs. Dominic, receiving the security call, asked, "Shall I see him?" "Yes, I must see him. Certain matters require clarification," and we met Gabriel in the downstairs lounge, sleepless, eyes reddened, stubble sprouting, suit crumpled, his prior vigor utterly extinguished. Upon seeing me, his eyes brightened, lunging to grasp my hand. "Sienna! Return with me. Cease this folly. I acknowledge yesterday's fault and apologize, but you cannot wed Dominic. It's retribution. You do not love him." Dominic stepped forward, intercepting Gabriel's hand, his gaze icy. "Mr. Gabriel, kindly accord my wife due respect." Wife, those words stung Gabriel. He leapt up like a cat with a trodden tail, pointing at Dominic. "Dominic! Do not gloat. You exploit vulnerability. Sienna is mine." "Yours?" I emerged from behind Dominic, regarding Gabriel calmly. "Gabriel, when you thrust me from the car on the highway yesterday, I ceased to be yours. You claimed Lillian and the child as your responsibility, me as your true love and future. Forgive me, your true love rejects such prioritization, your future desires no further association with you," his face blanching instantly. "Sienna, I've explained. Lillian's circumstances are exceptional. She's pregnant, emotionally unstable. I merely sought to soothe her. I took her for a hospital check to ensure her safety, intending to hasten back to the wedding. It was you were too hasty, not granting me that brief respite. Can you not understand?" He still deemed me at fault, me uncomprehending, me impulsive, even having taken Lillian for a checkup. I laughed aloud, tears streaming from mirth. "Understand? Gabriel, have you forgotten it was our wedding day? You abandoned your bride on the road to tend your ex-wife, even for a prenatal visit, then fault the bride for not understanding? Is your mind sound? That child is mine. I must bear responsibility." Gabriel roared, akin to a cornered beast. The more he stressed duty, the more risible it seemed to me. At that moment, Lillian's call reached Gabriel's phone. He glanced at it, instinctively moved to disconnect, yet hesitated and answered, perhaps fearing another crisis. He stepped aside, lowering his voice. "Hello, Lillian, what's wrong? Did I not tell you to rest at the hotel?" Yes, I'm handling something, I'll return soon, don't cry, it's harmful to the child, I'll order you food, his tone gentle, patient, meticulous qualities he withheld from me yesterday. He ended the call, turning to me with an anxious, guilty visage. Sienna, Lillian is alone at the hotel with prenatal depression, I must check on her. Our matter can wait, calm yourself, settle things with Dominic, I'll wait. Having spoken, he genuinely turned to depart, intent on tending his responsibility. Watching his retreating figure, I relinquished all hope this man was irredeemable. Gabriel, I hailed him, he turned, between us, it is finished, utterly so. Live well with your responsibility. A friendly reminder, I met his gaze. Lillian left you for 2 years, pregnant 3 months, are you certain the child is yours? Lest you shoulder duty only to uncover a monumental betrayal. Gabriel's frame abruptly rigidified, he had considered it, yet dared not dwell, or perhaps Lillian's tears and frailty prompted him to dismiss the possibility, craving the moral halo of responsibility to feed his narcissism. His complexion oscillated between pallor and flush, exceedingly unsightly. Dominic encircled my shoulders, his voice frigid. Gabriel, depart, do not sully my premises. Verify your responsibility, lest you lose all and become Shanghai's jest. Oh, you already are. Gabriel stared fixedly at us, eyes bloodshot with malice, reluctance, and a hint of panic as I unveiled the truth. Wordlessly, he turned and fled in disarray, intent on ascertaining whether his responsibility was indeed a mockery. I leaned against Dominic, my strength sapped. Cry if you wish, he murmured softly, no more tears, he is unworthy. I looked up at him. Dominic, assist me, speak, he replied, investigate whose child Lillian bears. I want Gabriel to lose unequivocally, to witness what he relinquished me for. I intend to shatter Gabriel's responsibility and true love entirely. Dominic stroked my hair. Very well, leave it to me, my wife shall not suffer in vain. The prelude to vengeance has just commenced. Dominic's efficacy surpassed Gabriel's haste to the airport. Within 24 hours, a comprehensive dossier on Lillian lay before me. For the Lee family, investigating an individual was effortless. The voluminous file chronicled Lillian's 2 years abroad. She had not pursued further education. Post-immigration, she swiftly entangled herself with a local Chinese magnate, indulging in opulence. Photographs depicted her nestled in the middle-aged man's embrace, laughing exuberantly, a stark contrast to the fragile demeanor she presented to Gabriel. The child, fundamentally, was not Gabriel's. The file contained her prenatal records with the magnate from a foreign hospital, dates and names aligning precisely. Her 3-month pregnancy was accurate, yet it was only after the magnate discovered her infidelity and severed financial support that she recalled Gabriel as a fallback. She calculated Gabriel's disposition, soft-hearted, self-proclaimed dutiful, knowing of his impending nuptials. Her return was not for love of Gabriel or the child, but to secure a ready dupe, incidentally sabotaging his wedding to sate her malicious whims. She had even preemptively queried domestic friends about our wedding date and venue. Lost at the airport? Emotional distress? All theatrical, every move meticulously planned. Gabriel, this self-styled sage-turned fool, willingly stepped into this crude snare. For such a woman, for a child not his own, under the guise of responsibility, he abandoned his bride on the highway. Viewing those photographs and records, I felt no anger, only revulsion, repulsed by Lillian's shamelessness, more so by Gabriel's folly and blindness. My love, my hopes, years of devotion, squandered on such a creature. Finished? Dominic, beside me, removed the dossier from my grasp. Yes, more spectacular than I envisioned, I sneered coldly. Gabriel likely uncovered something too, though certainly less thorough than this, Dominic noted. I cautioned him, his nature, pricked, would compel investigation, yet his capacity likely yields mere scraps, or Lillian could concoct an excuse to deceive him anew. Now, what do you intend? Dominic inquired, his stance clear. He was my instrument, it's wielding my prerogative. What does Gabriel prize most? I asked. Reputation, his absurd pride, and the Goo group, he replied. Then ensure he retains none. I gazed out the window, eyes glacial. Does he not relish playing the dutiful man? Did he not forsake all for his responsibility? I shall expose to all its filth and absurdity, toppling the moral edifice he erected to crush him beneath. Appreciation flickered in Dominic's eyes. A fine plan. What do you require of me? Arrange a meeting with Gabriel's parents and Kigu Group shareholders, at the hotel where he settled Lillian, top-floor restaurant, tomorrow noon. A public unveiling? No, an unforgettable surprise. I lifted the dossier. Is Lillian's birthday nigh? The file indicated 3 days hence. Dominic grasped my intent instantly, smiling. Sienna, you're ruthless, I approve. Gabriel was harried these past days. The wedding debacle had disgraced him and the Gu family, with partners adopting a wait-and-see stance. Conversely, my words pierced him like a thorn. He covertly investigated, but Lillian, vigilant, wept and accused him of distrust, even threatening to vanish with the child. Gabriel's resolve wavered. He dared not probe further, fearing an intolerable truth, preferring self-deception. He persisted in contacting me, texts of apology, remorse, professing love, urging me not to sulk, none of which I deigned to answer. Lillian exuded smugness, believing Gabriel ensnared. She even styled herself Mrs. Gu, hinting at formal recognition and a home for the child. To placate her, Gabriel consented to host a birthday celebration on her day, formally introducing her to kin and allies, at that hotel's top-floor restaurant, all within my design. On the birthday banquet day, the hotel's top-floor restaurant was adorned with warmth and romance. Gabriel had reserved it entirely. He invited his parents, select relatives, key business associates, including Dominic, aiming to prove his mettle before him. He even sent me an invitation. He presumed that witnessing his duty to Lillian would move me, elicit understanding, and sway me back. Truly, his stupidity was beyond redemption. Dominic and I attended in resplendent attire. I donned a red gown, a blaze of fire, and upon our entrance at the restaurant door, silence fell over all. Gabriel's eyes lit up upon seeing me. Presuming reconciliation, he approached. Sienna, you're here. I knew it. Dominic encircled my waist, interrupting. Mr. Gabriel, my wife and I are here to celebrate Miss Lillian's birthday. After all, she facilitated our union. Gabriel's face stiffening instantly. Lillian, in a white dress with a subtly protruding abdomen, leaned blissfully against Gabriel. Upon seeing me, her eyes betrayed a flicker of triumph and defiance. Sister Sienna, you've arrived. Thank you and Dominic for coming. Gabriel and I are delighted, she cooed feebly, asserting her dominion. No need for thanks. How could I miss such a significant occasion? I smiled, advancing to the main table. Gabriel's parents ashen-faced, displeased with Lillian yet restrained by the child's sake. The banquet commenced. Gabriel forced a smile, thanking attendees, then gazed at Lillian with feigned ardor. Today is Lillian's birthday, and I wish to announce, though we parted once, we now have a child, my responsibility, whom I shall care for lifelong. He produced a ring, intending to pledge to Lillian today. How touching. Lillian covered her mouth in excitement, tears brimming. As Gabriel poised to place the ring on Lillian's finger, I clapped. The restaurant's large screen illuminated, displaying not warm birthday greetings, but successive, audacious photos of Lillian abroad with the middle-aged magnate, followed by her foreign prenatal report, clearly noting the due date and his name. Lastly, a video the magnate, tracked abroad by Dominic's agents, sneered into the camera. Lillian? That gold digger aimed to ensnare me with a child? Pity, she's too dim. It's not mine, I've been sterilized long ago. Oh, the timing's off, who cares? I've discarded her, her next dupe is her affair. A deliberate snare lay here. The magnate's contradictory statements suggested another father or indifference, heightening drama to disgrace Lillian further. Dominic clarified. Correction, his exact words were, that child? Timing doesn't align. She juggled several. Who knows whose spawn it is, not mine. Blackmail me? Let her vanish. The room fell into dead silence, all eyes fixated on the screen, then shifted to the ashen Lillian and the utterly petrified Gabriel. The ring slipped from Gabriel's hand, clattering to the floor. His responsibility shattered. It rolled silently on the carpet, yet resounded like thunder in every heart. The screen looped relentlessly. Lillian's debauchery, the magnate's scorn, like myriad slaps striking Gabriel's face with resounding force. No. It's untrue. Fabricated. Slander. Lillian reacted first, shrieking like a lunatic, charging the screen to disable it. Sienna. It's you. You wretch, you've ruined me. She lunged at me, Dominic's eyes chilled, and with a gentle shove, Lillian tumbled to the floor, utterly disheveled. Miss Lillian, mind your condition. Though the child's paternity is uncertain, it remains a life. Dominic's voice cut, icy and sharp. Gabriel stood as if his soul had been extracted, staring blankly at the screen, then at Lillian's tantrum on the floor. His face cycled from pallor to flush to lividity, settling into ashen gray. Responsibility? That which he cherished, forsaking his bride to uphold, proved a consummate ruse. Gabriel had become a colossal fool, a self-deluded dupe. Gabriel. Gabriel. Trust me. Sienna framed me. She's jealous. She forged these photos. Lillian wailed, crawling to Gabriel, clutching his legs. Gabriel's father, chairman of the GU group, trembled with rage, hurling a cup to the floor. Scoundrel. Disgraceful wretch, he berated, jabbing Gabriel's nose. This is your responsibility? This woman, for whom you cancelled the wedding, making the GU family Shanghai's laughingstock? What fills your head? Duped by a woman, you've utterly shamed us. Several shareholders rose, faces grim. Gabriel, you owe us an explanation. The wedding a farce, now this scandal company image gravely tarnished, stocks will plummet tomorrow. In this state, how can you lead? The wall falls, all push. Gabriel stands forsaken. He slowly lowered his gaze to Lillian, weeping at his legs. That face he once pitied now bore only hypocrisy and repugnance. He recalled that wedding day, proclaiming righteously to Sienna, she and the child are my lifelong responsibility. He remembered declaring, you are my lifelong true love and future, yet he himself thrust aside that love and future to embrace a falsehood. He abruptly raised his foot, kicking Lillian away fiercely. Begone. You deceiver. Begone, his eyes crimson, like a beast cornered in despair. Lillian crashed against the table's edge, staring incredulously at Gabriel. Gabriel. You dare strike me. I bear your child. My child? Gabriel laughed bitterly, more anguished than tears, pointing at the screen. Tell me, whose child is this? Lillian, you've deceived me grievously. Played me for a fool. He crumbled, his vaunted morality, duty all collapsed in that instant. I stood there, observing dispassionately, no satisfaction, only a weary finality. This was his choice. Gabriel abruptly turned to me, eyes brimming with pain, regret, and supplication. Sienna, Sienna, I erred, truly erred. I'm a fool, a wretch. Forgive me, let us restart, please? I love only you. He advanced, now he admits fault. Now he professes love? Too late, far too late. Dominic interposed himself like a bulwark. Gabriel, you lack the right to utter her name now. Dominic. Get out. Gabriel, frenzied, sought to shove him aside. Dominic seized his wrist with a backhand, applying force until Gabriel doubled over in pain. You cannot discern your own woman and child, yet dare challenge me? Gabriel, you're not merely foolish, but impotent. Call the police. Arrest this woman. Fraud. Gabriel's father bellowed, the scene descending into chaos. Lillian, sensing peril, Gabriel unreliable, legal repercussions looming, scrambled to flee, only to be halted by hotel security, collapsing like a lifeless fish, utterly defeated. Gabriel beheld it all, his furious father, scornful shareholders, wretched Lillian, and my indifference finally comprehending his loss. For a fabricated duty, he forfeited one who truly loved him, his repute, familial trust, perhaps even his company. He sank to his knees, clutching his head, emitting a despairing howl. The moral edifice he constructed crumbled, its debris crushing him to a pulp. I turned away, unwilling to witness further farce. Let us depart, I said to Dominic, who nodded, encircling me as we exited, unhindered by any. Gabriel's sobs, Lillian's curses, his father's roars all receded behind us. Emerging from the hotel, sunlight dazzled, I inhaled deeply, the air crisp, the burden upon my heart finally lifted. This was not the end, but the onset of Gabriel's deserved retribution. Dominic would seize the chance to assail the GU group, Gabriel's folly providing ample pretext. Commercial blows, legal pursuits, reputational ruin would engulf him like a deluge. Satisfying? Exceedingly so, seeing his constructed world collapse, Paying for his stupidity and hubris, every pore exulted I ensured his defeat was absolute and transparent. That birthday banquet became Gabriel and Lillian's tribunal. Lillian was apprehended by police, charged with fraud. The child she bore, verified unrelated to Gabriel, sired by a man she could scarcely name. Her life utterly demolished. Gabriel emerged as Shanghai's greatest just adult who abandoned his bride for an ex-wife's burden, only to find the child not his own. The Gu Group stock plummeted precipitously, shareholders rebelled, and Gabriel's father, in fury, stripped him of all company roles, expelled him from home, and severed his finances. Dominic capitalized, acquiring Gu Group shares at a pittance, collaborating with other shareholders to restructure it. Gabriel, once a favored son, overnight became destitute. Reputation, wealth, status, family, love all lost. I ceased tracking his fate. Life with Dominic was serene. He respected me, afforded me space, yet cared meticulously, taking me for fine meals, accompanying me to films, and, during sleepless nights, regaling me with childhood mishaps through the door. Gradually, I discerned that this Lee family scion, reputedly defiant, was inwardly gentle and refined, ruthless in avenging me, yet ever the man who, on the highway, cloaked me in his jacket, saying, "Fear not, I am here." My frigid heart hinted at thawing. This hasty marriage, begun perchance impurely, yielded an outcome not wholly adverse. 3 months later, on a rainy day, I exited the company, heading to the parking lot for Dominic, who daily fetched me from work. Downstairs, I spied a figure both familiar and alien. Gabriel, much thinner, clad in a cheap windbreaker, hair disheveled, eyes murky, resembling a vagrant, soaked in rain, his gaze flared with desperate light upon seeing me. He rushed forward, restrained by building security. "Sienna! Sienna! I beseech you! Meet me," he rasped hoarsely. I paused, the guards glanced at me, and I nodded, permitting his approach. Gabriel stumbled to me, rainwater streaming from his hair, utterly abject. "Sienna," he gazed at me, tears mingling with rain. I erred, I deserve death. I have nothing, company gone, home gone, all despise me, I cannot endure. He knelt with a splash in the rain. "I know I wronged you, blind, a wretch, deluded by folly, I mistook a pearl for dross. Lillian is my retribution, my current state, deserved, weeping like a child, repentant and desolate. Yet Sienna, I truly love you, you said I was your lifelong true love and future words I meant sincerely then. I was merely too foolish, unable to distinguish duty from love, now I comprehend fully without you, I am not. Forgive me, please? Not to reclaim the past, just ask Dominic to spare me, grant me a lifeline, or gaze at me once more as you once did, and I'll be content." He pleaded, a bereft cur. At last, wholly, lucidly, he grasped what he'd lost, the cruelest penalty. I regarded him, this man I once loved, intended to entrust my life to. My heart harbored no hate, no vengeful glee, scant sympathy, merely a stranger's indifference, absolute apathy. Love and hate demand energy, and he no longer merited the expenditure of either. "Gabriel," I spoke calmly, my voice piercing the rain, "my love perished the moment you ejected me from the wedding car and shut the door, died on the highway, pulverized by passing wheels, not a fragment remaining." His body quaked, eyes lifting to me in despair. "Your lifelong true love and future spurn you, your present is your own making, unrelated to me, no ripple stirs within. The supreme revenge is not hatred, but oblivion, total disregard." Then, a black car halted roadside, the door opened, Dominic emerged with a black umbrella, striding swiftly, seeing Gabriel kneeling, his brow furrowed, eyes turning frigid. He reached me, shielding me from rain with his umbrella, drawing me into his embrace, his coat's warmth dispelling the day's chill. He spared Gabriel not a glance, as if he were mere refuse. He looked down, his voice tender as dripping water. "What's amiss? Impatient from waiting? It's cold out, let's board swiftly, go home for dinner at home, such warm terms." I looked up at Dominic, his eyes brimming with genuine concern and affection. I smiled, sincerely, clasping his hand, fingers entwined. "No haste, let's go home, this is not a marriage of revenge, but my rebirth." I turned for a final glance at Gabriel, kneeling in the rain like a statue, eyes vacant, watching my hand entwined with Dominic's. Our mutual smiles rapport. He lost me, while I gained one who truly cherishes and protects me, and an entirely new future. I paid Gabriel no further heed. Boarding with Dominic, the car started, splashing water over him. From the rearview mirror, I saw him still kneeling, his form diminishing and blurring in the rain. I averted my gaze, unturning. Gabriel, who thrust me from the car, would be left far, utterly behind. Dominic clasped my hand firmly. What occupies your thoughts? I leaned on his shoulder. I'm thinking, today is a fine day. Indeed, a fine day interring the past, embracing renewal. Beyond the window, the rain ceased. Faintly, a rainbow graced the horizon.